So for the sky area, what I think I just mixed up Prussian blue and ultramarine together. And it's quite pale. I think, I mean, what I did feel about his colours are that the colours in the sky are remarkably pale.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
So you need to mix up some blue, and you also need to mix up probably a couple of yellows. And again, one yellow will be quite soft and pale and watery. And I did use aureolin, but I think I put a tiny touch of raw sienna in it just to warm it up a fraction, because aureolin is a bit sharp.
Yeah.
And then I made a slightly stronger mixture of that as well, because it looks like he's sort of dropped in some slightly, either it's used overlaid washes, but I suspect he mixed up a slightly stronger wash round the sun, which he's left in that pale colour, pale yellow. He's put a stronger yellow around the sun.
Yes.
Or moon, actually. It's a moon, isn't it? I shouldn't be talking. It's a moon. I shouldn't be talking about sun. Moon.
Yeah.
My colours are totally different than that.
Yes, me too.
Much pinker.
Yes.
Well, I think you two should work with what you've got.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what I got out of my book, which was a catalogue for the Turner Whistler Monet exhibition that they had at the Tate Britain.
But it is pink below the moon.
Oh, it's pink below the moon, Prue says. Yeah, slightly pinker below the moon.
Well, mine's pink throughout.
Mine's
okay. Well, I
really
think
pink. Look.
Yeah.
Really
right.
Quite pink compared to yours.
Lovely. Well, I think you work with what you've got.
Yeah.
I think the bit of variety, you'll be absolutely fine.
Okay.
Okay.
What did you suggest for the yellow? Because it's a lemony yellow, isn't it?
No, it's not really.
Well,
I think it's your aureolin yellow, Chris, with a little bit of yellow ochre in it to warm it up.
Oh, right. Okay.
I would take a big brush. You can, if you like, just dampen it a bit in that sky area with some water. In fact, let's do that. Let's just dampen the top third of the paper and just have it slightly damp all the way across. Just put some water over there,
including where the moon is.
Yes, including where the moon is, because that actually isn't white, that's yellow. Right, now I've slightly blotted mine. It feels, cold, but it's not soaking wet, and I'm now going to try running a little bit of the blue into it. Yeah, it goes in nicely when it's slightly damp. Now, having said that, don't take the blue down too far, because remember, there's quite a large proportion of yellow. So I'm just doing a little bit, and then I'm going to go into my yellow mixture, and I'm going to use some of that, very pale, and I'm going to let it run into the blue. You can drop a little bit of something warm. I mean, it needs to be very pale into the bottom of the yellow if you want to make it go a little pinker. But be careful, because, I prefer it looking cool rather than anything else.
Could you zoom in a tiny bit, Sue? That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll zoom out a little bit now. Okay, stop.
Now, before it actually dries, your yellow, I would decide where you're going to put your moon, and I'm just going to lift a bit off with my paper towel. There we are. And I'm also going to drag it down to the bottom a bit so that I've got that happening. Keep the edges of your, this sky area, keep it damp, because so that if you want to run some more colour across, you can. So I'm just putting some more water down here now. Now, can I just have everybody's attention for a minute? Looking at this picture that I'm copying, in fact, I've got to take it off here, confusing. Where this mountain range starts, the halfway mark is about there. It's just above the halfway mark. And I think you need to paint that area of the mountain range in next. On mine, it looks like there's sunlight hitting the top of the mountain range. So we're going to have to leave some of this yellowy colour that I put in down here peeking out, and so I'm going to remember to leave a bit of that when I start painting this bluey grey green colour of this mountain, the Rigi or whatever it's called. And he has used the device of aerial perspective, because some of it definitely looks, very pale and further back. And as you come a bit more into the middle of the painting, the colour gets stronger. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you have to start with the palest blue for that colour, and that is like a grey. So you've got to mix up a grey blue, and it needs to be not too strong.
So you're doing the mountain ranges?
I'm starting on the mountain ranges now. So you have to wait until the colour above it is reasonably dry, not completely dry, but reasonably dry. Otherwise, it'll just run into it. So mine's just about all right at the moment. We can use the hairdryer and dry it off if we need to. Now this is the first bit of the actual aspect of drawing it that you're going to be doing. So you're kind of drawing the mountain silhouette, but when you come down sort of towards the middle and the left piece here where the buildings are, you've got to take the colour down to behind those buildings and kind of paint round the shapes that you see. And that's tricky. So this first colour that you're putting on for the mountain range has got to go right down to where the building block on the left begins. It's got to go right the way down there. And the only bits you're going to leave are the top. You're going to leave little tiny bits in this top of this mountain range, which you can, again, you could use your paper towel and just lift out a bit. So if you find the paint just going and filling in the spaces. I'm going to take this grey blue that I've mixed all the way across, because that's where the mountain range does go. I'm just looking at this shape here, following it with my finger. It's sort of halfway, isn't it, where it finishes to the left of the moon. And when you get up to the area where the moon is, I would then dilute your colour a bit, so you make it slightly paler in that area where the moon is sort of, you know, the light from the moon is coming down onto the lake. So I've actually diluted this grey a bit there. And then I'm going to jump across to the other side and just carry on to the extremity of the painting with some sort of shapes to represent those mountains. Okay, so that's all I've done so far, if you want to have a look. Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is where you're going to have to, all of you, be patient. You can either dry it off a bit if you want to develop that area. But I think it would be better if we carried on down to the bottom of the painting and fill in all the different areas with a suggestion of the washes that he's used here. Okay, so when you get to this middle bit, well, it's actually below the halfway line. This is the edge of the lake, and then it looks like it spurs round the mountain and goes back a bit. It's a very, very soft bluey grey. Okay, so I would do that next.
Sue, how did you mix the bluey gray?
Well, I've used a tiny bit of Prussian blue, and I think I might have put this very tiniest bit of red in it, but really tiny. It's better it's blue rather than going, you know, too far away. And then I put lots of water in it because I think it needs to be quite pale. And then I'm just going to paint it across here. You probably won't be able to see very much because it's, you know, it's so pale at the moment. And this is still all damp. I'm going to now put in the colour of the building mass, which is sort of browny, but very, very soft. So and every time I've done it, I think I've done it too strong, but I'm just going to paint it in for now, just so I've got a sense of where it is going in the painting. And again, if the areas around it are running and too wet, leave it and move on somewhere else. You're going to end up with something that looks very abstract, and that's fine, because I don't, you can't really see absolutely, clearly what's going on in this painting from the reproduction. You can make a guess at it, and if you've been lucky enough to see the real thing, you've probably got a better idea. But yeah, so I'm now working on the warm reflection of the building, and again I've added water to it. And I think the next thing I would do is just do this lake colour, which again, it looks it's got yellow in it. So maybe we should put some yellow on first and do the reflection of the moon and this beam of light. I think we should start with that. So go back to the yellow that you mixed for up here and use it again on the water. Or in the area of the lake, I should say. There's quite a lot of yellow, sort of in this area down here, because it's being underneath the moon, I'm talking about, on the water. Now I'm going to start to paint in this area of the water, and it's, there are some darker bits which you can put afterwards. Start with the lightest colour of the water, which is looks to me, it's like a Prussian blue with a tiny bit of ultramarine in it. Don't make it too strong unless you've got really dark water, which I doubt any of you have got.